Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now we are moving towards past paper session of this topic. हमने topic number 1 complete कर लिया है बच्चों. हमने atomic structure complete कर लिया है. Atomic structure complete करने के बाद आज हम क्या करने लगे हैं? आज हम atomic structure के past papers करने लगे हैं और ये सारे past papers specifically IGCSE के हैं. ठीक है ना, उससे हटकर एक सवाल भी नहीं होगा. यानी कि आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते कि सर एक भी सवाल IGCSE का नहीं है या इनमें से एक भी सवाल GCE का. ऐसा नहीं है, सारे के सारे सवाल IGCSE के होंगे. ये कोड आपके सामने सामने लिख दिया गया है. इसका मतलब ये है कि हम इसी कोड की बेसमेंट के ऊपर बेस के ऊपर हम आप आज सारे सवाल करने वाले हैं. 0620 दिस इज IGCSE केमिस्ट्री. राइट, तो सारे सवाल उन्हीं के पास पेपर्स के हैं जो आज हम सॉल्व करने वाले हैं. सो लेट्स बिगिन. बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. बच्चों, क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 आज की क्लास का क्या कहता है? द क्वेश्चन इज सेइंग, this question is about copper and its compound. Copper और इसके compounds से related है. Copper has two different naturally occurring isotopes. So copper के दो isotopes हैं, एक 63 और एक 65. So we all know this बच्चों, हमें ये बात पता है कि isotopes जो होते हैं वो क्या चीज होती है. Isotopes is actually, you can say that these are atoms having same proton number. इनका क्या होता है? Proton number same होता है but different न्यूक्लियन नंबर. डिफरेंट क्या होता है? आपके पास न्यूक्लियन नंबर होता है. तो व्हाट इज दिस? जो कि डिफरेंट है वो क्या होगा आपके पास? इट मस्ट बी न्यूक्लियन नंबर. ठीक है ना, ये आपके पास क्या गिवन है? दिस इज न्यूक्लियन नंबर, जिसको आप एटॉमिक मास भी बोलते हो, जिसको आप मास नंबर भी बोलते हो, ये वो गिवन है. ठीक है ना. प्रोटॉन नंबर दोनों का क्या होगा? फिक्स होगा, जो कि सेम होगा, एंड दैट वुड बी 29. 29 ही होता है ना, कॉपर एंड जिंक. सही है, 29 ही होता है. उसके बाद now they are asking what state the term used for atoms of the same element with a different nucleon number, and that's a pretty much simple question. We just need to write the word isotopes over here. Is that right, every one of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then in the next part what they are saying, just look at over here, the atomic number of copper is 29. अच्छा उन्होंने बता दिया है. Complete the table to show the number of protons, neutrons and electrons in the particles of copper shown. That's fine. So भाई बच्चों, प्रोटॉन नंबर दोनों के लिए 29 है. So the number of protons in both कितने होंगे बच्चों? जल्दी से.
29.
29. Very good, because you can see this, the one of them is neutral and the one of them is the positive charged particle. So the one which is neutral, so it must have same number of electrons as well, and the one which is positive, definitely it become positive by loss of 2 electrons because it is 2 plus. तो इसने 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन लॉस किए होंगे, तो it must be 29 minus 2 will give you 27. And we know that जब हम न्यूक्लियन नंबर में से प्रोटॉन नंबर को माइनस करते हैं, सो वी विल गेट व्हाट? द नंबर ऑफ न्यूट्रॉन्स. तो बच्चों 63 में से अगर 29 माइनस करेंगे, सो व्हाट इज द नंबर वी गेट? इट वुड बी 34 एंड ओवर देयर इट वुड बी 36. इज दैट राइट बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, ये चीज आप लेक्चर में पढ़ चुके हैं, सीख चुके हैं. ठीक है, द नेक्स्ट वन इज, यू कैन सी दिस, ये चीज भी मैंने आपको पढ़ाई है. Relative atomic mass is the average mass of naturally occurring atoms of an element. We know that the percentage of the naturally occurring atom in the sample of the copper is shown. The one is 70% and the one is 65 वाला जो copper है वो 30%. आपको मैंने बताया था, we don't need to learn this. ये हमेशा given होता है. ठीक है ना. Now they are saying that deduce the relative atomic mass of copper in this sample. Give your answer to the 1 decimal point. 1 decimal point is very important. So we know that the one copper is 63 mass है उसका 70% है. So you can say that 63 वाला copper 70% है, and 65 proton mass number is actually of 30%. So you can say that
63.6 will be answer.
63.6. Let me calculate this as well, so I would be assured. It would be 63 into 70%. It will give you 44.1, right? And then 65 into 30% will give you 19.5. 19.5. So it would be 44.1 plus 19.5 will give you 63.6. Absolutely perfect. Good answer. So you can see this, bachcho, they are asking for the answer to 1 decimal place. So we just need to answer this 63.6. This is 1 decimal place. Is that clear, every one of you?
Yes, sir.
बच्चों आप सबने ऐसा ही किया है, चेक कर सकते हैं आप लोग सारे अपने जितने भी आप लोगों को होमवर्क मैंने दिया था आप लोग चेक कर सकते हैं आप सबने इसी तरह किया है. Everyone, is that clear? Okay, chale, let's move on towards the question number 3 over here in this sheet. It is question number 3. So let's see what they are saying. Question number 3 is saying atoms contain protons, neutrons, and electrons. We know that these are subatomic particles. Complete the table to show the relative mass, the relative charges of proton, neutron, and electron. And I told you, bacho, in the start of the lecture that the relative mass, the relative charges, and the symbols, they are actually same in the overall syllabus, right? You don't need to change this. Actually, the बच्चे जो होते हैं वो परेशान हो जाते हैं number of protons और relative atomic mass से ना. तो देखिए number of protons something different, relative atomic mass और sorry relative mass and relative charge is something which is constant, जो कि हमने शुरू में ही पढ़ लिया था कि भाई ये change नहीं होगा, ये constant रहेगा. So भाई अगर proton का relative mass की बात करें तो it is always 1 and the neutron is always same as the mass of proton. And if you talk about charges, so proton is always positive, neutron is neutral, and electron is negative. Is that right, bacho?
Yes, sir.
Then if you talk about the table shows for the number of protons and neutrons and electrons, so you can see this, bacho. The proton number is 16, so the number of protons is always this. The smaller value is proton number, so the number of proton is always this. And if you talk about this one, so 35 protons किसके होते हैं? भाई 35 प्रोटॉन्स होते हैं ब्रोमीन के. हम पीरियोडिक टेबल से देख सकते हैं, तो हम यहाँ लिख लेंगे 35. राइट बच्चों? Is it right, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes, sir.
if you talk about number of neutrons, so it is always the proton number should be
Yes.
subtracted from mass numbers. 32 minus 16 will give you 16. 39 minus 19 will give you 20. And if you will have 44, अगर आपके पास 44 न्यूट्रॉन्स हैं तो न्यूक्लियन नंबर क्या बन जाएगा आपके पास? 35 plus 44, so it would give you 79. So you can write 79 over here, right? And then they are asking for the number of electrons, so you can see this, it is neutral, so the number of protons and electrons are equal, right? This is positively charged, it means it lose one electron, right? So 19 minus 1 will give you 18, and you can see this is 36, यानी कि इसके पास one more electron, एक electron ज्यादा है. So the one more electron means it should be negatively charged particle. Is that right, every one of you? आप सबने ऐसा ही किया है?
Yes, sir.
चलो जी, तो आप अपना ये वाला क्वेश्चन भी चेक कर सकते हैं, आपने इस क्वेश्चन को भी मार्क कर सकते हैं अपनी कॉपी के अंदर कि भाई ये भी मैंने सही किया है और ये जो है मैंने ऑथेंटिकेट कर दिया है, मतलब कि आपने ये बिल्कुल सही किया है, राइट? सो नाउ वी हैव क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 ओवर हियर, and question number 4 is saying, every one of you can see this, carbon is an important element. Okay, carbon exists as the isotope carbon 6 and 12, carbon 6 and 13. All right, we need to complete this table. That's pretty simple. We know that 6 proton number, so the number of protons in both of them would be 6, right? And the number of electrons, as they both are neutral, so they have same number of electrons as well. And if you talk about neutrons, so it would be 12 minus 6 will give you 6, 13 minus 6 will give you 7. Is it right, every one of you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then here we have one more question, and I love this question to solve. Just look at over here, every one of you. आप लोगों ने इस क्वेश्चन को कैसे सॉल्व करना है? Just look at this question. This question is about element X, Y, and Z. An atom of an element X is represented as this 16 and 34. Name the different type of particle found in nucleus of this atom of X. Particles found in the nucleus. क्या आंसर होना चाहिए बच्चों इसका? Can anyone of you answer this? Name the different type of particles found in the nucleus of this atom of X. जल्दी से कौन बताएगा? बहुत सिंपल है. न्यूक्लियस में कौन से particles होते हैं बच्चों? Quickly.
Proton.
Protons and
neutron.
yes,
And neutron,
you can say that protons and
Sir,
neutrons,
proton.
right? Electrons nucleus में नहीं होते. Electrons revolve करते हैं around the nucleus, right? So what is the term? The next part is saying, what is the term for the total number of particles in the nucleus? Yes, this
Nucleon
is
number.
Nucleon number.
nucleon number. Very good, bacho. Perfect. Very good. Then the next part is saying what is the total number of particles in the nucleus of an atom of X1634. So what is the nucleon number over here?
50.
Huh? Why 50?
34.
34. This is 34. This is a
Oh, sorry.
nucleon number, no? This is nucleon number. Larger value is always nucleon number. And the smaller value is always what? It is proton number. So you can say that the number of nucleons are 34. Right. What is the electronic configuration of this? 2 minus, X2 minus. Just look at over here, X2 minus. So actually, we have 16 protons, right? In the neutral X. If you talk about neutral X, so we have 16 protons and 16 electrons. That's fine. But if it would be -2, it means it has 2 extra electrons, right? 2 extra electrons mean it must be +2. So it will give you 18 electrons. So the electronic configuration would be 2, 8, 8. Is it right, bacho?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then they are asking suggest the formula of the compound formed between aluminum and X. So ये बात अभी हमने नहीं पढ़ी है. So just relax for this. Aluminum is from group number 3. It is from group number 3. So all the elements that belongs to group number 3 has positive 3 charge. Right. So this is aluminum, which is 3 plus. And right now you can see this X is 2 minus. So what would be the formula between these two? The number would be cross multiply and they would be considered as the subscript of that element, the other element. So it would be Al2 and X3. This would be the formula between these two. But abhi aap nahi padha hai, so just relax, leave it. Then next part is saying what term is used to describe atoms have the same element with a different number of particles in the nucleus. So what is the name of this, bacho?
Isotopes.
Isotopes. Very good. They have different types of neutrons, right? Then they are saying identify the atom against
Carbon.
which is the relative masses of all other atoms are compared. Yes, it is carbon, but carbon, it must be
12.
carbon 12, right? Then what is the name of the amount of any substance that contains 6 point? Okay, what is the name of the amount? They're asking actually moles, right? This is not a part of our topic right now. The constant has a name. This constant ko hum bolte hain Avogadro constant, and it is still not a part of the atomic structure chapter, right? So it is Avogadro's constant, and we will learn this in moles. Okay, so बच्चों आप चेक कर लो, आप सबने यही किया है होमवर्क में, ये सब कुछ सही किया है. So the only things that you must need to leave over here are these 3 parts. These 3 parts are not the part of atomic structure. All right, every one of you.
Yes, sir.
ठीक हो गया. चले आगे चलते हैं. So here we have one more question to solve. And here we have, you can see this chlorine is in group 7 of the periodic table. All right, 2 isotopes of chlorine are chlorine 35 and 37. State why these 2 isotopes of chlorine have the same chemical properties. I told you, bacho, why the chemical properties are same. So the chemical properties are always same because they have same number of electron, or you can say that they have same electronic structure. So you can say that both the isotopes of chlorine have same electronic structure. They have same electronic structure. That is why they have same chemical property. Is that clear, every one of you?
Yes, sir.
Right, and after that they are asking for the number of particles, and I think it is very easy to all of you. चलो जल्दी से मुझे बताओ number of protons कितने होंगे दोनों क्लोरीन में बच्चों, जल्दी से. Number of protons
17.
17. Very good. And what about the number of neutrons in the first one? 35 minus 17 will give you 18. 37 minus 17 will give you 20. And what about the electrons? It is neutral, so it must be same, and it is one additional negative, so it must be one additional
13.
electron, so it would be 18. Right, every one of you?
Yes, sir.
चले आप अपना होमवर्क चेक कर लीजिएगा कि आप लोगों ने यही बातें लिखी हैं, इससे हटकर तो कोई बात नहीं लिख दी है, तो काइंडली इसको चेक कर लीजिएगा। यस, दिस क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 ऑफ द पेपर, राइट। ये इस पेपर का क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 नहीं, लेकिन जिस पेपर का भी ये पार्ट है उसका ये क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 है। So let's see. Bachcho, over here, you can see this, the electronic structure of some atoms and ions are shown, right? They are asking in part 1 that write the letter A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or H in the answers, right? Of the electronic configuration of which one is shown, right? So the part 1 is saying atoms of 2 different noble gases. You need to write down the alphabet over here जिसके structure आपको ऐसा लगता है कि noble gases, and we know that noble gases always have you can say that in the neutral state, not in the charged state. In the neutral state, they always have 8 electrons in the outermost shell, or even if it would be helium, so it must have 2 electrons as well. So A must be helium because it is neutral and having 2 electrons in the first shell, right? And the next one is H. You can see this, it has 8 electrons in the outermost shell, which would be neon. It is neutral and having 8 electrons in the outermost shell. You can see this. It also have 8 electron, 2 electron, 8 electron, but they all are ions. So definitely every element wants to have the noble gas electronic structure, and they lose electron or they gain electron to do this, right? And definitely when they lose electron, they become what electronic structure? They're just going to copy the electronic structure of noble gases, but they become ions, right? So ion की form में अगर नोबेल स्ट्रक्चर की इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन होगी तो नोबेल गैस नहीं होगी। नोबेल गैस वो होंगे जो एटॉमिक फॉर्म में आखिरी शेल में 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन या 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन रखते होंगे। तो इट मस्ट बी ए एंड एच, राइट बच्चों?
Yes.
All right, then the second part is saying an ion of group 1 element. Group 1 के element का ion कौन सा होगा? You need to keep remember that the element which is from group number 1, it must have 1 electron in the outermost shell. 1 electron in the outermost shell. And it will lose that electron and become 1 plus. So which one is 1 plus over here? So 1 plus is this. You can see this. B is 1 plus. So this is the element of, or you can say that this is the ion from group number 1. All right, every one of you. Then an ion from group number 5. Now again, group number 5 की अगर आप बात करें, so we should have 5 electrons in the outermost shell, and if we talk about the ion of that group, so it must receive 3 electrons and it becomes 3 minus. So which would be the ion of group 5, बच्चों? It would be D. All right or not? Is that clear, everyone?
जी sir.
Okay, now the next part
Yes,
is
sir.
question number 4. Part number 4, they are asking a pair of ions that could form a compound with the formula XY2. So again, the same thing we did in the last or second last question over here. This is a cross multiplication. You can see this to find out the formula. So for suppose if they are asking to identify the ions over here in XY2, so we can solve like this: XY2. So this 2 would go back to the X, and this 1 will go back to the Y. So it must be X2 and Y1, right? And the first element in the ionic compound is always positive, and the second element in ionic compound is always negative. So you can see this, it must be 2 plus, it must be 1 minus. So 2 plus is this C, and 1 minus is G, or even E. So you can say it must be any one of them. So I just go with E, or you can even write G over here as well. All right, every one of you. Is it right, everyone?
जी. Yes sir.
Okay, so then the next part is saying, the next question is saying, state which electronic structure A, B, C, D, E, F, G is incorrect. Explain why incorrect electronic is
Sir,
F बोल रहे हो? Yes, F is wrong. You can see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electron, and then the rest of 2 electron will be in the third shell. Before completing the second shell, we cannot move towards the third shell. Absolutely right. So the wrong is F. You can say that second shell is not completely fit. right bacho?
Yes, sir.
Then C part is saying state how many protons are found in the nucleus of an ion C. C, right? You can see this C. So the total number of electron in C is actually electrons are 2 plus 8 would be 10, right? It is 2 plus and 10 electrons, right? We know that if the element is 2 plus, if the element is 2 plus and it has total 10 electron, it means it must have more protons than electrons. 2 plus है ना, positive ज्यादा होंगे इसके अंदर ना, positive ज्यादा होंगे तो it means कि दो positive ज्यादा हैं तो दो protons ज्यादा होंगे, तो the proton must be 12, right? So you can say that C के अंदर भाई आपके पास 12 protons होंगे, right? Then use the periodic table to deduce the chemical symbol for ion G. Ion G. So it is what? -1 है, यानी कि एक इलेक्ट्रॉन रिसीव किया और एक इलेक्ट्रॉन रिसीव करने के बाद भी दो ही इलेक्ट्रॉन हुए, तो कौन हुआ ये? हाइड्रोजन हुआ। हाइड्रोजन के पास एक ही इलेक्ट्रॉन होता है, एक और इलेक्ट्रॉन रिसीव कर लिया, दो हो गया और नेगेटिव हो गया, ठीक है ना? तो इट मस्ट बी हाइड्रोजन, एंड हाइड्रोजन ने इलेक्ट्रॉन रिसीव किया तो इट मस्ट बी -1. Then the element which forms an ion with 3 plus charge and the same electronic configuration as H, 8 electrons, 3 positive and 8 electrons, so it must be aluminum 3 plus. We know that aluminum is 2,8,3. The last shell contain 3 electrons, so when it loses 3 electrons, so the rest of electron would be 10, and H has 10 electrons. You can see this. All right, every one of you, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, तो आप लोग ये अपना देख सकते हो, क्वेश्चन चेक कर सकते हो कि आप लोगों ने होमवर्क में जो किया था वो ऐसे ही किया था या नहीं. Okay, so the next question is over here, and again one of the good question. Okay, so the table gives information about 5 particles A, B, C, D, E. All right, these 5 particles. State the atomic number of A. Atomic number of A. You can see this, but show that the atomic number is always the number of protons. So if it has 11 protons, so it must have the proton number 11. Is that right, Bacho? Right?
Yes, sir.
All right, then state the nucleon number of B. They are asking for the nucleon number of B, and we know that nucleon number is always the sum of protons and neutrons. So B, protons and neutrons, it must be 20 plus 18 will give you 38, right? Then they are asking, write the electronic structure of C. C ka electronic structure, how many electrons we have? 18 electrons, so it must have first shell 2, then 8, and then 8. Is that right, every one of you?
38.
Okay, then in the next part they are saying atoms, positive
Yes.
ions, negative ions, and isotopes. Okay, that is something उन्होंने सब कुछ ही पूछ लिया जो हमारे सिलेबस में या हमारे चैप्टर के सिलेबस में मौजूद है. तो कौन कौन से एटम्स होते हैं जिसके अंदर प्रोटॉन और इलेक्ट्रॉन सेम होते हैं, वो एटम्स होते हैं. So you can see this 18 and 18. Just look at over here, every one of you. 18 protons, 18 electrons, right? 18 protons, 18 electrons. 10 protons, 10 electrons. So they all are atoms, right? So you can say that B, C, and E are atoms. Then positive ions. If they talk about positive ions, we know that positive ions always have more protons. So protons किसमें ज्यादा हैं? भाई जरा देख लो. Protons इसमें एक ज्यादा है, सही है ना? इसमें proton ज्यादा है, तो A के अंदर आपके पास proton ज्यादा है, so it would be positive ion, right? Then they are asking for negative ion. So negative ion में electron ज्यादा होंगे. So you can see this, यहाँ पर electron ज्यादा है, ठीक है ना? तो D must be negative ion. And अगर आपके पास proton number same हो और neutron number different हो, so they are considered as the isotopes of each other, right? So they are isotopes of each other. So you can say that B and C are isotopes of each other, right? Every one of you. Right, बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
तो आप इसको देख सकते हैं, आपने ऐसे ही किया है, सारे अल्फाज आपने ऐसे ही लिखे हैं. अपना होमवर्क आप चेक कर सकते हैं कि आपने यही सब कुछ किया है उसमें या आपने कुछ अलग कर दिया, ठीक है? चलिए, next is this part. This is saying that this question is about structure of atoms and ions. Define the term proton number. Oh my God, it's quite simple. So you can say that the number of protons. Number of protons कहाँ होते हैं बच्चों के? They are present in the nucleus of an atom. Nucleus of an atom of an element. So this would be the definition, right? Then they are saying complete the number of protons, electrons, and neutrons. Again, the proton number is telling you the number of protons, and the subtraction of proton number from mass number would give you the number of neutrons. So 24 minus 12 will give you 12. 26 minus 12 will give you 14. And they both are neutral, so they both have the same number of protons and electrons, so they must have 12. Right, then they are saying what term is used to describe atoms of the same element, such as this. So you know that they have same proton number but different nucleon number, will consider as isotopes of each other. Then I explain why the chemical properties of these two are same, because they have same electronic structures. That's why they have same chemical properties. All right, then they are saying complete this table. Number of protons are 4, so it must be beryllium. And the number of electrons are also 4, so it must be the neutral atom. And the sum of protons and neutrons give you the nucleon number, so it would be 9. Then the 17 proton number, so it must be chlorine, and we have one more electron, so it must be negatively charged particle. And 17 is the proton number, and 17 plus 20 would give you mass number. State the electronic structure of the following atoms and ions. Right, aluminum is atom, so it has a 13 proton number, so same number of protons and same number of electrons. So it must be 2, 8, 3. And it says there's a 16, and right now it is actually 2 minus, so 16 electrons in the neutral atom, but right now it is 2 minus, so 2 more electrons so over there, so it must be 18 electrons, so it must be 2, 8, 8. Is that right, every one of you? आप चेक कर सकते हैं, आपने इसी तरह किया है होमवर्क. इसमें कोई मिस्टेक है तो आप सही कर सकते हैं अपने होमवर्क में. क्लियर है बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ठीक हो गया. All right. So here we have again the same thing. They are asking for what? Sodium 22, 23, 24 are isotopes of sodium. Describe how these sodium isotopes are the same, how they are different in terms of in total number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in each. What is the same thing they have? They have same the number of protons and electrons. Or you can even say that, or the same chemical properties. But they're asking for the number of protons or electrons. That is why we need to write in terms of electron, proton, and neutrons. But if they ask in physical properties, so you can even write this one as well, the same chemical properties and the different physical properties, if they ask in different terms, right? And what is the different subatomic particles? Right now they're asking for number of protons, electrons, and neutrons. So you can say that the number of neutrons are different. The number of neutrons are different, right? But if they ask which property can be different, so you can say that the physical properties. Physical properties can vary due to the different number of neutrons. Right, but right now they're asking about subatomic particles. So keep remember कि answer आपके पास ये वाला होगा जो मैंने पहले लिखा है. Right, why do all three isotopes have an overall? Why do all three isotopes have an overall charge 0? Because they have same number of protons and electrons. Definitely when the positive and negative charges are equal, so there would be net 0 charge, right? Why do all three isotopes have the same chemical properties? Because they have
Same structure.
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक स्ट्रक्चर लिखे हैं आप इसको, ठीक है ना? क्योंकि नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स की वजह से केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज जो हैं डिपेंडेंट होती हैं. तो अगर नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन सेम होंगे तो केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज सेम होंगी, राइट? सो सिर्फ स्ट्रक्चर ना लिखें, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक स्ट्रक्चर लिखें, ठीक है भाई? Why do sodium ion have a charge of 1 plus? Because it has it lost 1 electron. Okay, it loses one electron, so one proton is additional. Right? All right, every one of you.
Yes.
चलो भाई, तो यहाँ आ जाते हैं हम second last question की तरफ. You can see this, that atoms contain particles called electrons, neutrons, and protons. Complete the table. Again, the same thing. I told you that the relative charges, relative masses are always constant. It can never be changed, right? So you can see this, the atomic relative mass is 1/1840. It must be electron, right? And the relative charge is always negative for this. And you can see this, the charge is positive, so it must be proton. And we know that it is present in the nucleus. And the relative mass is 1. And the next one is neutron. And it is 1 and charge is 0. Right, everyone?
Yes, sir.
The number of protons and electrons and neutrons. So bacho, proton is always the proton number, and electron and proton are always same. But if it is charged particle, so it must be 2 positive. So 2 electron दे दिए इसने, so it must be 2 कम हो गए, 18 हो गए, ठीक है ना? And the nucleon number is always like neutron number is always subtracting proton number from nucleon number. So 44 minus 20 will give you 24. Is that right, every one of you? आप सबने ऐसे ही किया है, चेक कर लें अपना.
Yes, sir.
ठीक हो गया. So this is the last question of today's class. You can see this. The question is saying magnesium exists as 3 isotopes, 24, 25, and 26. State in terms of total number of electron, neutron, and proton. 1 difference and 2 similarities between these magnesium isotopes. So what is the difference? The number of neutrons.
They have different neutrons.
Number of neutrons. Very good. And what about the similarities?
Proton number.
Same protons
The proton number and
or proton number, or
they are
same
same electronic structure.
electronic structure, or the same chemical properties. Very good. Or the number of electrons as well. Then all isotopes of magnesium react with dilute hydrochloric acid to make hydrogen and a salt. Why do all isotopes of magnesium react in the same way? Again, they have same electronic structure. Is that right, every one of you? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. अगर आप में से किसी का कोई सवाल है इससे रिलेटेड तो वो मुझसे पूछ सकता है.